So another week, another live chats with everybody. We've been doing these chats every week with people in the Pilates industry, and they've been really interesting and insightful. And looking forward to this one because we've got Nobu Pilates fam again.
Let's do this.
With Charlie. So Charlie, let's hear from you. A little bit about yourself, how you discovered Pilates, and your journey with fitness.
So I'm Charlie. I've been an instructor at Nobu for coming up to 2 years now, which seems to have flown by. It's been incredible experience working there just in itself. Before that, I was always into my fitness. I went to a really sporty school, so within that, I played a lot of rugby, football, tennis, sevens, athletics, that sort of stuff. So I was always really sporty. And then I left school and I left like the team sport sort of situation, which meant then I just kind of put my energy into the gym and went into like weightlifting, strength and conditioning, calisthenics, that sort of stuff, bodybuilding type training. I did that for ages. I'm actually strength and conditioning certified now as well. So that's a big like thing of my training modalities that I do now. And then I actually got into Pilates through injury. I was lucky enough to know Marsha, who was our current boss, from working at Equinox. I had a couple of injuries and I looked to Pilates as a modality to start training in to sort of fill the void of the training I couldn't do because of my injuries. Like, so a bit less, I couldn't do high impact, high load.
Yeah.
So I went to do Pilates for the low impact sort of thing about it. It took me years to get into Pilates because rather embarrassingly now, considering I'm an instructor, I refused to do Pilates for many years just because I
No.
thought I was too hardcore for it. So that's a
Ah,
big mistake I made in my training career,
yeah.
and I've thoroughly been shown otherwise for that now. But I went in to do one-to-ones with Marsh for ages. Within 10 minutes of the session, I was like, wow, this training is incredible. Like, it's
Yeah.
like nothing I've done before. It like sort of took me, it showed me all the weaknesses and all my other type of training. Like, I thought I was relatively a strong guy, and as soon as I started doing Pilates, I was shaking within 10 minutes,
Really?
and I was like, this is seriously embarrassing. So then I did like Pilates one-to-one for like a year, and then I loved it so much I decided to do the full classical course, which took me about a year. I did
Yeah.
that alongside working multiple jobs, so it was very difficult, and I was always
Wow.
miles behind on my homework. So my teacher trainers were really after me on that.
Yeah.
But and then so I passed my course, and then here we are, 2 years down the line
Yeah.
with the No Pilates gang.
What was it kind of when you first done your Pilates session that made you think like I love it? Was it just the way it made your body feel, or was it like anything specific that you thought this is for me?
I just thought, for me it was one about the way it made your body feel,
Yeah.
because like Pilates inherently has got that like rejuvenating type
Mhm.
of effect that it has on your body. Like, it
Yeah.
opens you up, you feel lifted, you feel like, that's why everyone says they feel a little bit taller after Pilates.
Yeah.
But like, also as soon as I started doing the moves, it took me through moves and like legs overhead and like other stuff
Yes.
like that, legs out, holding your legs out in front, which I would never do in the gym.
True.
And most people won't do that because unless you're
Yeah.
very
All the
specific with your training.
inversions.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rollovers, stuff like that. Yeah. You
And
don't do
unless
that
you're
really.
very specific with your training,
Hmm.
you're not going to do that. And
Yeah.
then when you don't do that, and then you come to Pilates and do it, you realize how weak your body is in those positions.
Yeah. How
So then as
difficult.
soon as I did that, I was just like, wow, could fill a lot of the gaps I'm missing in my other types of training.
I mean, you're always coming in like before your shift, right? In the week, and like, do you like run the order, like run the mat order or run the reformer order, right?
Yeah, I always come in the morning, like super early, like 6 a.m. on my shifts, and I just go through the mat work at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially because I just think the mat work is so underappreciated. It's so difficult, and it also takes your bodies again through all those shapes that you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't go anywhere near in any other sort of gym training usually. I mean, some people do if they're
Yeah.
very specific, but quote unquote, you wouldn't usually do that in strength training. So
Yeah.
I like just going through that, and it's got the benefit of making you feel strong, but then getting your body to be flexible, bending your spine first thing in the morning, all those good things that you can do for your body first thing. And it's not too taxing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can do it for like 20, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I can get up and teach, and my body feels just way better.
And do you feel like you say you like hadn't tried it for a while? Do you think that's because you wasn't seeing many people, maybe like relating it to males? You hadn't seen like many men doing Pilates, so you hadn't like been very attractive for you to think I'm going to try and do that, or
I think the reason I didn't try it, and it sort of goes on to our campaign,
yeah,
which we were going to talk
yeah,
about, which is the
exactly.
whole the Pilates body and the Pilates
Hmm.
imagery
Hmm.
that's still getting pushed out today, but even back before then it was pushed out a lot as well,
Hmm.
isn't the most attractive for them for men, I don't think, because it shows a lot of just skinny, flexible women doing maybe sort of a lot of the stuff's like looks like dancing moves on the
Yeah.
reformer or
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is
Yeah.
in principle fine, like great. If you're moving, that's great,
Yeah.
but it's not going to really attract men. And for me, that was probably one of the main reasons I was so resistant to Pilates. I thought that's no good for me.
You
I'm not
just,
that
yeah.
flexible. I care mostly about
Hmm.
strength. And I didn't think that Pilates could offer me that, and I was totally wrong,
Yeah.
completely wrong. But in my head, I was indoctrinated by that content to think
Yeah.
Pilates is for people, for dancers who can take their legs over their head and touch their toes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. When in reality, it was created by a man.
Hmm.
Loads of athletes do it. Cristiano Ronaldo, Usman, the
Hmm. Hmm.
former UFC
Yeah.
champion, Serena Williams.
Yeah.
I've got clients that are 80 years
Yeah.
old that are doing it, and then I've got athlete clients. So like, it really, anyone can do it, and anyone can see the benefits from it. But
Hmm.
for me, I just decided I wasn't going to do it just because I thought I was too hard for it.
I
But
think that
I really
like
wasn't.
is, yeah, you wasn't seeing like someone that reflecting kind of yourself in the imagery that you were seeing. And I mean, we're speaking about it now, but yeah, my next question was going to be about relating this to our campaign. The phrase Pilates body, like, what's your experience with it? Have you heard the Pilates body phrase often?
Rambled on that
I know
last question and covered a
we
lot of
got
that,
into it
but
then.
yeah, but I'll
I
go into it a
know.
bit more. The
Yeah.
Pilates body, yeah. So the Pilates body is just, it's a sort of aesthetic that's being pushed out there again on social media, where it's just like, again, maybe you're skinnier, taller,
Mm.
flexible women, which really isn't representative. There's the word
Oh,
of
yeah.
the people that are in the studios. No, like I just said, I've got older
Yeah.
clients, I've got male clients, I've got younger athlete clients, all of
Yes.
people of different shapes, sizes, backgrounds, genders, all that, and
Hmm.
they can all see the benefits from Pilates, and they come
Yeah.
regularly and train with me,
Yeah.
and it's just not the right image to be solely shown. That is great for those
Yeah.
people to be doing Pilates, but solely just showing that is just wrong, because that's not what's in the
Yeah.
studios, and that's not what the whole population of the earth is like. Everyone's
Yes.
different, and everyone can benefit from Pilates.
And each person, like your older clients, your younger clients, everyone's got their own personal reasons why they're, doing it. Really interesting. I was chatting to somebody the other day, and I was chatting about the UFC and how the UFC, all the positions that the UFC fighters are so similar to the Pilates
Yeah.
shapes. And I think you said the UFC fighter does, they train in Pilates, right?
Yes.
When they're having to get into all the little ball shapes and they're like inversion, it's literally rolling like a ball and roll
Exactly.
over, all in the UFC
Exactly.
fighters,
Exactly, all different sports, and people are incorporating Pilates now, especially because it's
Yeah.
getting popular. But
Yeah.
it's always been a system that can help with any sport. If you saw
Yeah.
during the Olympics,
Hmm.
there was that post. I can't remember what account posted it, but it was a
Hmm.
really, in the Pilates
Oh, I
community,
love
everyone
that
was
one.
sharing it. But like all the
Yes,
shapes that people were doing in the Olympics were
that was
all from
amazing.
the classical order. You could
Yeah,
see them being created in the classical
it
order.
was like the swimming, the fencing,
Yeah,
the horse
horse
riding. I
riding. Yeah.
mean, you've got horseback exercise, right? Okay, so tell me, from an expert's perspective, what are your personal reasons for training your body in Pilates?
For me, my personal reasons is much the same as why I train anything else. It gives me
Hmm.
strength gains in these different positions. Not necessarily in the gym, I might focus more on isolation exercises where I'm working one muscle group. But in Pilates, like, you work the whole body as a
Yeah,
unit. You work at really long lengths where the legs are quite far away
yeah,
from the core, which
yeah.
really was really challenging. And again, positions that I don't take in the gym. And then effectively, before I started Pilates, I was super weak at.
Hmm.
So I train it for strength gains. I train it for mobility. Like, I came into Pilates stiff as a board. Like, I literally couldn't.
Really?
My thoracic spine was so stiff from just lifting weights and
Yeah.
just like chest pressing, that like when I came into Pilates, I couldn't bend my back. And now I'm nimble. I'm nimble like a cat now. So
Yeah, 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 absolutely. But you think, yeah, Pilates, you're moving your spine in all different directions, but
we just covered.
yeah.
Also, just the way, again, going back to the way it makes you feel, and like the
Hmm.
rejuvenation effect of Pilates. Like, Pilates is slightly different. So if you go to a well-programmed, well-executed session,
Mm.
I kind of believe you should come out of the session feeling taxed and, well worked, but
Yeah.
also lifted.
Hmm.
Your shoulders are set back, your posture's up. You've got that kind of
Yeah.
like jelly feeling in your legs, where you feel very
Yes.
light on your legs, and
Yeah.
you should feel ultimately a bit better after leaving a Pilates studio, rather
Abs-
than other exercise disciplines where you've completely
You feel
destroyed your
knackered.
body for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But Pilates should always leave you, a well-executed Pilates session should always leave you feeling better than when you walked in.
I know that probably everyone that comes to your classes will vouch that, yeah, when they walk out, their legs probably feel like
Yeah,
jelly, because I know you work everyone that comes to your class, you work them
but
hard, Charlie.
I'm a bit
So,
too aggressive sometimes.
would you say to somebody that was feeling a little bit nervous to try Pilates, what advice would you give to them, and what would you say, why should they do
I would say
Pilates?
you've always got to try these things. I was one of those people that didn't try for ages. Now I really regret it. So take my mistake as
Mm,
a hint to get yourself in there. Seek out a studio that resonates with you. Seek out instructors that look like they resonate with you. Like for me, I was Nobu was a great place for me to go and train, and also Equinox, because they've got their studios are quite gender neutral. They're
yeah.
very like just it's just about the equipment. It's not necessarily too much about a crazy aesthetic or a crazy aesthetic one way or the other.
Hmm.
It's just about like a nice place to train and a
Yeah.
place where you don't feel like excluded or marginalized.
Yeah.
And then also I'd just say there's so many positive effects of Pilates. It's just a no-brainer to give it a go and get it into your training regime, even if that's once a week. You'll see
Yeah.
the benefits just once a week, even just moving your body through those positions. And it's only going to benefit all the other stuff you do and other training stuff you do.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got some questions that were sent in, so I'm gonna get into them. Some
Let's
really
do
good
it.
questions, actually. Let's do it. So, we've got, how does Pilates support the longevity topic at the moment? That's a
Okay,
good one.
so how does Pilates support the longevity topic? So I would say that the main way that Pilates supports the longevity topic. Firstly, it's a movement discipline, and all movement is a great thing for everyone's longevity. Like any sort of movement is good movement as long as it's safe. So that's number
Mm-hmm.
one. But I would say, secondly, it's more, and going back to what I said earlier, I've said it a couple of times now, but the rejuvenation effect of Pilates. Pilates was like born out of being a healing method to healing people that are injured,
Yeah.
healing World War veterans.
Mhm.
Joseph Pilates created these machines to heal people, and this apparatus to heal people. So just that in itself kind of shows you that Pilates is embedded in making people feel better and trying to
Yes.
make people live longer and better lives. And like you only have to look at the apparatus that he's created. You've got spine, and it's called spine corrector, so it corrects your spine. Foot
Hmm.
corrector,
Hmm.
chest expansion, where it's an exercise where it's teaching you to pull your shoulders back.
Yeah.
So all those sort of things, longevity really is embedded in why Pilates was created, and
Yeah.
it's Joseph Pilates was way ahead of his time at the time, because he was already talking about the negative effects of the technology that's coming in, and it's changing how
Yes.
everyone's going to be, how their body shape is. And Pilates was made to revert
Mm.
you back to what's meant to be in your body.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Pilates and longevity just go like hand in hand. Pilates just creates like overall balance in the body, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, all the benefits equal to a longer life. Balance, coordination. Like when you're older and you're more prone to falling, like you have a strong center and you might not fall. And yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
what are the biggest differences that you have seen in your gym performance since adding
I
Pilates
think
in?
my biggest performance in the gym, that Pilates, the best thing that Pilates has helped me in the gym is probably the way I can move my body now. I'm much more in tune with how my body can move. I can do more like athletic movements in the gym, whereas before, when I came into Pilates, I was very like bodybuilding centric, like
Yeah,
everything really stable and
yeah.
just pulling in one motion down, not
Mhm.
not moving the spine, not being, and I just didn't do that
Yeah.
because I wasn't good at it.
Mhm.
And now Pilates has made me good at like long lever positions,
Mhm.
rollovers and stuff like that. So I can incorporate that type of stuff in the gym.
Yeah,
I'm much more flexible, mobile. I'm
yeah.
stronger now because I can connect everything into my center. My core is actually strong rather than just like
Mhm.
looking strong but not being strong. Like Pilates has actually
Yeah.
made my core strong, whereas before
Yes.
it might have looked the part, but it didn't. It wasn't. It was like shaking like a leaf, like I
Yeah.
said on the first time I did Pilates. So
Yeah.
they're the things that Pilates has helped me with.
What Pilates instructors do you admire? Is there
Oh, that's a
anyone
good
out there?
question. So let's start overseas. Overseas, straight to my head, I'm probably going to say Chris Robinson
Oh yeah.
from I think
Yes.
he's from America
Yeah.
somewhere, or maybe not from America, but
I
he's
think like
based out there.
California.
yeah, I love his style, particularly because he's come from a different background, so I can kind of be relatable. I think you like the styles of people that relate to you, and this goes back to what I said about you need to choose instructors and studios that resonate with
Yeah.
you. So like him definitely, he's got like a kickboxing background and things
Yeah.
like that, which I really love, and he kind of links it all together. I had the luxury of training with Michael Johnson in New York, and he was really good as well. Super knowledgeable guy.
Amazing.
He just showed me the exercises that I already knew, but showed me new ways and new thought processes of doing them, which just kind of blew my mind. Has now
Oh,
completely changed how I teach the exercises myself
really
and how I feel them in my body.
amazing.
In my body. So
Yeah.
them two are great. And then the UK scene, of course, all of my Nobu Pilates team, they're
Yeah.
like all incredible. I've
Mm,
loved working there and I love learning from them every time I manage to jump into their
mm,
classes. And
mm.
then my mentors that I was very lucky to train with and get taught by. So I was very lucky to have Marsha to teach me
Yeah.
from the get-go. So that gave me a massive
Very,
head start
very
because I knew
lucky.
her when I used to work at Equinox. I had James Shaw teaching me on the course, who's a great Pilates instructor, who's now got his own studio in Margate. Marcella, so Christos as well.
Yes.
Christos, I try and train with Christos quite regularly, or when I can get to him.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and Max at PI. I've
Mm-hmm.
trained with him. I've trained with him once recently, and he was really good. And I'm hoping to get back and train with him again soon. And they're
Yeah.
probably the ones that I admire at the moment. There's plenty
Yeah.
more, but off the top of my head, and they're all ones I've trained with.
Yeah.
I haven't trained with Chris Robinson, but I've
Yeah.
done a lot of his online classes. And if I got the chance, I would definitely train with him.
Yeah.
But I always seek out people that I admire. I try and seek out and try and train with them, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Got one more question left,
Like, you go.
and that is, this is a good one. How do you encourage more men to make Pilates a regular part of their fitness protocol?
So I think just purporting the benefits like we have done
Yeah.
during this talk, because I think
Yes.
a lot of them would have been are still in the position that I was 5 years ago when I used to think that Pilates was, not not serious, or not that it
Yeah.
wasn't serious, but it was only for a certain demographic of like really flexible, really
Yeah.
like strong
Yeah.
yoga-ish dancer type women, when actually it's
Yeah.
not. It's so inclusive as an exercise discipline, and it's got so many benefits. And to be honest, when I teach, the men need it more than the women actually.
Yeah.
When I teach people, I always find that the men struggle the most, and the men probably need it more than the women.
I
So
think it's that
yeah,
flexibility aspect, isn't it?
the
Men
flexibility
tend to be a
aspect,
lot
yeah.
tighter in their bodies, so the positions tend to be a little bit more challenging for them.
Exactly, and
That's what
they often try to, and this is what I did, try to muscle through the exercises to start with, and they don't really
Yeah.
understand how to do the exercises off the
Yeah.
bat
Yes.
without
Yeah. Is yeah.
just like
Is
trying to rip the rip the equipment apart
yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. It's very true. Thank you everyone for joining. There was some really nice comments there of everyone raving about you as well, Charlie. Again, we've got some more coming up and we've got some really exciting people in the pipeline. If you haven't seen our Nobu Pilates campaign, then head on to the Nobu Pilates Instagram and have a look at that. Have a lovely Sunday evening, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
See you
Charlie.
this week, Poppy. See you later.
See you in a week.
Bye bye.
Bye.